The labor market is often a unique and challenging environment, and it may seem daunting to account for the many interrelated factors that impact overall labor performance. With that in mind, our labor system should not further complicate an already complex situation. The Kronos Labor Scheduling Tool will help simplify how labor is managed by integrating multiple data sources, automating calculations, enhancing reporting capabilities, aligning to budgetary goals, and reducing the amount of administrative time spent entering values. To ensure the Kronos LST delivers these benefits, the labor management process is used as the framework that enables the system to meet business needs. The actions represented in each section should be completed on an ongoing basis in accordance with the prescribed timing by leveraging all available system tools to increase efficiency and accuracy of the outputs. While the Kronos LST actions are largely tied to the forecast step, elements of the tool functionality support the schedule, manage, and improve steps as well. By incorporating the Kronos LST into your daily management routine, you can be certain that your actions align with operational and financial demands. The standardized process flow focuses time and effort to the right tasks and simplifies labor into manageable, actionable, and repeatable segments. Before using the system functionality, it is important to understand how different roles and responsibilities within the profit center dictate what actions are expected to be taken in the Kronos LST. In profit centers with multiple locations and levels of oversight, executional responsibilities may be held by many people. It is critical that a sound feedback loop process is established and enforced in these cases. In order to appropriately leverage the LST, revenue projections and actuals must be entered by day. These entries must be completed by members of the Profit Center Oversight Team, which is based on their level of Kronos security access to the Profit Center and informed by the Location Execution Team. At times, those members of the Profit Center Oversight Team, for example, the site lead or controller, would not typically be expected to have intimate knowledge of the specific location demand levels in order to generate an accurate projection or actual revenue entry. The Location Execution Team is typically best positioned to provide insight into the location-specific forecasted and actual revenue values. It is essential to establish a feedback loop process to facilitate communication of location-specific demand, targets, and performance between these two teams. In profit centers, where oversight and executional responsibilities align to the same individual, the LST can typically be populated by that one accountable manager. In order to appropriately leverage the LST, revenue projections and actuals must be entered by day. This entry must be completed by the manager who assumes profit center responsibility based on their level of Kronos security access to the profit center. For more detailed information concerning the recommended oversight and execution steps, please refer to the reference materials found on the Global Operational Excellence page of aramark.net. By aligning your revenue forecast process with roles and responsibilities defined for use of the LST, you are now in a position to leverage those projections to determine the corresponding labor targets. To do this, you will utilize the labor scheduling tool found directly in the Kronos system. After logging into Kronos, the direct access point for selecting the LST is in the carousel at the top right of the screen. After logging in, note the ribbon at the top left of the page, which allows you to navigate to different portions of the tool based on what actions you would like to perform. Each functional section of the tool is displayed and available for navigation throughout the process. Note, access to edit the LST is available to users with Profit Center-wide access in Kronos. All other Kronos users with location-specific access to a site will have read-only access. Only users with Profit Center level access in Kronos will be able to edit fields within the LST. If Kronos access needs to be adjusted, submit a request in Service Management. As needed, information found in the Allocations and Report sections can be exported by selecting the Export to Excel button. Where applicable, both Profit Center and location level information will be exported in the same file. Throughout all sections of the LST, you will notice tooltips affixed to select items that, when hovered over with your mouse, will display additional details or guidance specific to that item. In the upper right-hand corner of your screen, all of your available profit centers are displayed for selection in a drop-down. The available profit centers are based on your Kronos security access rights. After selecting the appropriate profit center, click the gear icon to the right of the Profit Center dropdown to open the options and select Configuration. Once in the configuration screen, you are able to indicate if the Profit Center dictates the use of a productivity metric to plan labor. If you require a metric other than revenue, select the appropriate metric from the metric type list. Input total revenue and total metric for a specific time frame to determine a revenue per metric. Click Save Productivity Metrics when complete. While on the configuration screen, review and adjust the default Profit Center operational days to ensure they represent all typical operating days you would expect to earn revenue. Click Save Operational Days when complete. If you make changes to the default operating days after the week has begun, all changes will be reflected for future weeks only. You will have the opportunity to adjust for one-off adjustments to operating days when you reach the allocations screen. Once the Profit Center is configured appropriately, navigate to the Review section of the tool for the selected Profit Center. This screen provides visibility into past financial results, starting with prior month performance and then displaying performance by month year to date. Messaging will appear in each section to provide insight on how the results compared to financial plan objectives. You will have the ability to navigate between available fiscal years. For prior month only, you will be required to check the Reviewed box to confirm that you have viewed the financial performance for the selected Profit Center. After checking the Reviewed box, the system will save the action and not require it to be selected again for that period. After reviewing the Profit Center financial results, navigate to the Allocation section of the tool for the selected Profit Center. Once in the Allocation section, in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, select the operational week you would like to take action on for the selected Profit Center. You can move between weeks using the arrows or by selecting a date from the pop-out calendar. Selecting a specific date from the calendar will take you to the operational week in which that day resides. The Allocation section will provide a month-to-date view that provides visibility into the monthly projected revenue and fully loaded labor cost from Insight or Clarity and compares that to the actual month-to-date results based on your LST revenue entries to date, as well as fully loaded labor cost to date. The Allocation screen will default to the By Profit Center view. Use this section to determine allowable hours based on projected revenue and labor targets, as well as gain insight into how subsequent actual results compare to your projections and targets at the Profit Center level. If the selected week has operational days that do not align with the standard operating days indicated in the configuration settings, the daily toggle buttons allow you to activate or deactivate specific days within the chosen week as needed. Note: it is imperative that any changes to the operational days are completed prior to making any other updates to the week. Flash revenue. Weekly financial projection derived from Insight or Clarity in order to provide guidance when constructing the operational week revenue projections. Depending on the line of business, this will either be a direct weekly value or the result of your monthly projection divided by the number of weeks in the fiscal period. See User Reference Guide for LOB specifics. Projected revenue. For the selected Profit Center, daily projected revenue must be entered prior to the start of the current day, 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Revenue should be the aggregate of all income, sales and other income, that is expected by day at all locations that comprise the selected Profit Center. Reminder: only users with Profit Center level access in Kronos will be able to edit fields within the LST. All other users will have view-only access to information within that Profit Center. If you previously indicated in the Profit Center configuration that a productivity metric should be leveraged to help you plan your labor, now is the time to calculate the corresponding revenue value of the selected metric. Access the calculator by clicking on the calculator icon next to projected revenue. Enter the appropriate daily value representative of the volume of the selected productivity metric by day, and allow the system to calculate the corresponding revenue based on the dollar equivalency established in the configuration section. Enter any expected straight-line revenue that does not tie back to the productivity metric you will be using. It is important that revenue is not duplicated or overstated in this step. Select the Push button to automatically populate daily projected revenue in the Allocation by Profit Center, with the calculated total revenue by day from the projected revenue calculator. The default labor cost as a percent of revenue target for calculating allowable hours will be driven off your plan targets for the current fiscal period. Understanding the operation may at times dictate the need to adjust labor targets that will not be reflected in plan. Users will have the ability to adjust the labor cost driver for the operational week until the week becomes current. Access the labor cost percentage editor by clicking on the icon next to labor cost percentage. Select the radio button beside the appropriate labor cost driver for the operational week. If custom is selected, enter the appropriate labor cost percentage in the manual entry field. Select the Save button to save and apply your selection to the allocation by profit center for the operational week. Based on the entered projected revenue and selected labor cost percentage, values for allowable hours and wages will now be displayed for review. Please refer to the glossary section of the How-To Guide for more information on how the allowable hours and wages are calculated. In the Allocate Hours by Location section, you will have the opportunity to adjust hours based on unique circumstances at your particular location. Allocated information at the Profit Center is an aggregation of this information to reflect any expected or known variances to the allowable hours value provided by the calculation. No entry is required at the Profit Center level for this section. The Scheduled section displays all hourly and non-exempt hours and wages without taxes or benefits currently scheduled in Kronos for the Profit Center. No user entry is needed as this information is automatically pulled from Kronos on a daily basis. Leverage the comparison metrics to gain insight into alignment between the target values and what is currently scheduled to be worked within the selected Profit Center. Utilize the Actual section to track and review actual results for the Profit Center. Enter actual revenue on a daily basis. The entry field will remain open for 6 business days from the close day to allow for operations, such as residential dining, where daily revenue cannot be accurately captured for prior day. Earned hours are calculated based on the entered actual revenue by day. The earned hours calculation mirrors the allowable hours calculation, but instead of producing allowable hours, this calculation displays the number of actual hours that should have been consumed based on fluctuations in volume from projected to actual. Actual hours and actual wages are pulled automatically from Kronos on a daily basis for all hourly and non-exempt hours, inclusive of productive and non-productive time. Non-Kronos wages should be entered daily for any labor costs not being captured within Kronos. Note, any agency or student labor already tracked in Kronos does not need to be re-entered or duplicated here. At the top of the Allocate Hours section, update the radio button selection from By Profit Center to By Location to view current Profit Center totals, as well as review and allocate hours at the location level. Select the Spread Hours to Location button to automatically distribute the Profit Center allowable hours to the appropriate locations based on historical labor spend by location. Once you have spread hours to location, you may review and take action on location-specific allocations if the populated values do not align to the required distribution of allowable hours based on current operations. Note, if your Profit Center only has one Kronos location and doesn't need to use the allocate functionality to determine how to distribute the allowable hours to the location level, you should still select Spread Hours to Location for all appropriate comparison metrics to populate. Review the allowable hours and wages as dictated by the Profit Center totals to guide decision-making at the location level. If you have selected a labor cost driver other than plan hours and plan wages will also populate for comparison. By selecting the Spread Hours to Location button, the system will automatically spread the allowable hours across your locations based on historical wage spend and distribution. Review the location's totals for the allocated hours and wages schedules will be based on. Additionally, review the comparison metrics illustrating the variances between allocation, allowable, and plan values. Note, allocated wages may be higher than Profit Center wages, where location hours and Profit Center hours are the same if hours were reallocated to a location with a higher average wage than the historical location the hours were allocated from. Access the Reports section for the selected Profit Center by selecting the Reports link from the navigation bar and selecting the desired report from the drop-down options. The Scheduling Analysis Report displays profit center hours and comparison metrics broken out into productive and non-productive hours for the set time period. Enter a start and end date directly into the input cells and click the magnifying glass icon to search or select the desired time period based on one of the available drill-down options. Expand the profit center data for the same date range to the location by checking the Show Location detail box. Select the Financial Analysis Report from the drop-down. Select the fiscal year you would like to review from the drop-down. Displayed metrics include plan, projected, actual values by fiscal period, and system of reference. The histogram is an interactive display of the available financial metrics broken out by period for the selected fiscal year. You can deselect a metric by clicking on it at the top of the graph. You can export by selecting the Export to Excel button. To log out of the Kronos LST, in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, click the gear icon to open the Options drop-down and select Log Out. Thank you for watching the Kronos Labor Scheduling Tool training.